I'm Mr. Haley, and this is Bird's Eye View. The choice is yours.
Hey man, welcome man. I definitely want to thank you before we start anything, taking the time out to sit with us. I think this is extremely important overall. The goal is to bring awareness to society in general about prison and incarceration and the effects it has on not only the individuals that endure it, their families and friends, but society as a whole. So, want to thank you from the beginning. Uh, so before we get started, how should we refer to you?
Mr. Haley is fine.
Okay, Mr. Haley.
6822211C. It's
Wait,
my SBI number.
say that again. That was your what?
That's my SBI number, my identifying number in the penile system.
You said that kind of. It felt natural, like didn't even ask you for the number. Just asked you for what should we call you, and you just naturally spit that out. You know we're not in prison
Yeah.
anymore, right? You know you're not in.
I'm gonna remember that number forever. It's ingrained in my head.
About how many
It's
times?
been
About how many times you think you said that number?
countless times, maybe more than I said my own name.
Man, it's like a barcode kind of. It's like a
Yeah, it looks if you put it next to some squiggly lines, it'll definitely seem like some type of futuristic barcode. It's equipped with six numbers and a letter. So yeah,
It's like is it their way of keeping inventory? Maybe, perhaps.
yeah. You get put in a database. You get checked off. It's a certain amount of money given for you. You're definitely stock of some sort. You're definitely a commodity of some sort.
Livestock.
Yeah. You go through some of the same things.
Some of the same things. And I'm sure we'll touch on that. So let me ask you just before we dive into your story. Do you know anything about Prisonish? What do you know about this initiative that we're kind of have launched and are attempting to propel?
Well, from what I know, you guys are taking a look into the way the prison system is currently reflected in society. Maybe the way prisoners are received and handled in the world. You know, uh, I think it's pretty unfortunate that you ask guys to rehabilitate themselves, but then such negative stereotypes are associated with them. Things are put on their social criminal record to bar them from certain things as simple as housing, let alone jobs. Uh, you know, a guy might find himself not being able to find suitable apartments, housing. Uh, he might be barred from, as you know, certain workplaces, uh, regardless of the severity of the crime or the nature of it. But I see that you guys are taking a different approach to maybe redefine what the average person thinks when they think of incarcerated people's prisoners.
Absolutely, man. And I honestly, as you were saying that, I honestly realized how valuable your input and your specific interview will aid in that because I personally know you, and you don't fall into these stereotypes. And I believe I'm just excited of what comes from this interview, man. So um, I can't say thank you enough. So let's jump in, man. What is prison?
Well, I guess it's as I like to say, it's a college for dumb niggas. But
Oh man.
more appropriately, I think it would be some place that seeks to re-educate uh, a person in their formative years of criminality. They seek to try to curb it, correct it, reprogram it in a way.
Now,
Now, uh,
that was a deep answer, the last part. So you kind of gave what I feel on paper a government or a governing body would describe prison as. You gave your
right.
take on it. Do you believe that it actually is what they say or intend for it to be?
Mm. Well, um, as a whole, no. A person would have to seek it's something in yourself. I think that if you don't seek out as much help as you possibly can, uh, you won't get pretty far in your findings. Even if you do, most of the work it will have to be done on your own. It's not a place that's equipped or wishes on the inside to do the things necessary to properly reintegrate you into society. So you kind of already have to have the mindset that you want to separate yourself from the pack to even have the opportunity to take advantage of some of the tools they have that possibly could help you on your journey. Um, Mostly it's the most help you'll probably will find will come through by way of TC programs, which are therapeutic community programs, or some type of peer driven program, which me and a couple of guys set up while we were in there.
Okay. Okay. Now, before we dive into that, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from Paterson, New Jersey.
Okay, Paterson, New Jersey. For those who are ignorant to Paterson, New Jersey, give the demographics and the geographical layout and where exactly is Paterson in New Jersey? Like,
Well, that's in Passaic County.
okay,
One of the major cities inside Passaic County.
okay,
With all major cities comes crime, drugs,
right,
gangs. Uh, Pretty much a Spanish and Black demographic
okay,
mixed in. Uh, we kind of live closely together, but there's some differences there.
okay,
Um, yeah,
okay,
Patterson, the average way of life would be a low income earner or somebody in that household being linked to having somebody involved with the streets,
okay,
unfortunately.
okay, okay. Um, let's dive into your personal story. Pardon me. Dive into your personal story. What was or when was your first exposure to the system?
Well, I first got involved with the system when I was about 15. That was probably maybe 2001. And I had been incarcerated for a juvenile strong arm robbery. Um, and that started my path. I ended up getting probation, and from there, it's been a perpetual uh, thing. Like I couldn't get out. Well, let me explain it like this. Once you're involved with the system, it's pretty hard to. It'll take some time for you to get out, because you're going to be on more than likely some type of supervision. Any violation of the supervision will cause you to receive penalties, which is usually time. And every time you come out, uh, while society moves forward, you're staying the same. So that might lead to doing the same thing you used to do. Maybe not having the temperament for regular jobs or the social skills for them. And it turns out to be a cycle until you learn something different. So 15 was for me. And from there, I would go to numerous institutions and jails until I eventually ended up in prison in 2007 for a 6-year sentence with a 3-year stipulation. We call it a 6 with a 3.
What does that
That's
stipulation mean?
well, other places they do something like, oh, you get a 3 to 6. They might say you get a 3 to 6. Well, in New Jersey, you get if you get a sentence and it's a if it's not a flat number would be like a 5 flat, 4 flat, 3 flat, where your parole date is determined somewhere in the spectrum of whatever the sentence is. So if you get a 5 flat, you could be paroled within between your earliest minimum or your maximum or anywhere along there. It's flexible.
Okay.
With stipulated sentences, I had 6 with a 3-year stipulation. So you have to do the 3 years first before you even considered for parole.
Okay. Okay. So
So
for minimum.
yeah, the mandatory minimum
Okay.
usually comes with drug charges of a certain type, weapons charges, second degree and high third degree crimes, I guess.
Okay. Okay. So you went to prison 6 with a 3. How did things continue for you on from there?
With that first bid, it was when I was a younger guy. I believe I was 20, and I had I had a little bit of money, and I didn't really learn anything. All I did was gamble and smoke weed down there, and lift weights, and read books. Reading was probably the biggest thing that the most positive thing I did while I was down there the first time.
Okay.
But when you're younger, you don't really want to listen to anybody if you've seen some sort of success. So that usually leads to a chip on your shoulder. So what you have down there is a bunch of young guys validating each other. It's much of the same thing. Who can buy the most commissary, who could, you know, call the most girls, who can, who's getting all the way down to who's getting their hair cut on a regular basis. Like,
Right. Right. Just kind
so
of
you,
pointless. Pointless if you really think about it.
well, yeah, you're a kid, you're feeding into the street mentality.
Okay.
You're essentially, you're, the thing is, oh, the thing probably is you go down there and you live just as good as you did on the street. That's the image people want to portray.
Right.
So they feel if you reflect a certain level of comfortability down there, you must have been doing something right on the street, which gives you a certain status symbol that translates sometimes to the streets also.
Right. 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 So let's talk about specifically what got you in prison.
Well, the first time were drug charges. I was on probation for a drug charge and intent to distribute charges, and I ended up uh, getting 2 more of the same while I was on probation, and then I had a bail. Then I got another charge while I was on bail. So you know, these were all crack charges, intent to distribute crack cocaine charges.
Did you notice any difference since we're talking about crack? Have you noticed or did you notice a difference between your sentencing and the sentencing of maybe someone else with let's say similar charges that may have been from a different community than you?
I knew a guy who got caught with about 100 grams of soft cocaine. We call it sniff, and he ended up getting probation and what we call a county bid, which is you know 3 to 6 months in the county and probation. And I got caught with about between the two charges and what I was on probation for, maybe $2,000 worth of crack. Now, 100 grams of cocaine. Uh, Admittedly, the prices are a little different now, but 100 grams of cocaine would net you roughly back then about $8,000 to $9,000. Uh, I had about out of those three cases, I had about $2,200 worth of cocaine crack, and I got 6 years, 6 year sentence,
Wow,
which I ultimately ended up doing 4 years, 2 months off of.
wow. So
So,
did that affect you? Sounds like an obvious question, but can you articulate how it affected you?
um, when I met the gentleman, he was an Italian gentleman. Uh, when I met him, uh, it didn't really dawn on me. Like it was more of something in passing. Like I kind of looked at it as not a disparaging thing, but more of like it is what it is. Like he got that. That's fucked up, but whatever. Um, I was more I was more worried about not leaving what I was doing than anything. So I mean, I understood to some degree because the type of clientele that each one brings you is different. Crack employs a more dangerous element to it because of how much money is made off of it compared to soft coke sniff. The frequency in which they buy it, the type of customer, the lengths they're willing to go through to get it when they don't have money. It brings a more dangerous element. So I didn't really, I guess in my head, I kind of rationalized it as that, like, all right, fine, whatever. He might be in a bar somewhere selling coke to,
To judges or lawyers or something like that.
judges, lawyers, beautiful women that you probably think don't sniff coke and they do. Uh, and I'm selling it to dangerous, crackheads,
Let me
you
ask you.
know.
Let me ask you a question. Um, Specifically on the, we're going to touch briefly on the inside of the prison walls, but if you're comfortable, man, how did this affect your family, man?
Well, at the time, I was kind of distant from my family. Uh, when I really start getting into my criminal element, I try to distance myself. I've learned that from being young. I usually go off and do my own thing. So I couldn't say for sure, but it probably put some type of strain on them.
You ever had this
You
kind with anybody from your family?
know, the younger people mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't really at the time. I didn't really have the highest regard for the age group above me.
Right.
I shared strong views and opinions that even to this day I'm not sure I deviated from. Just being an adult now just helps me understand certain things. So I don't talk about it, but I don't do crime anymore. So I guess that in my head is you know, its own thing. Like I'm not doing what I used to do anymore. And I think talking about it will lead to unresolved feelings with me. So for me, it's best to just do things differently than to go over what I used to get into.
Mm.
Because honestly, although I'm not a person that likes to like, I don't so much feel bad about doing what I did. I mean, I made a choice and I went through with it, and I got the results for that choice. I'm not mad at that. So, I don't feel the need to go back and, clear things up with them. I don't ask them to explain their choices.
Right.
Some things I don't agree with, so I don't explain mine. I just do something different. I
Right.
rather,
Right. I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying. Um, if we can quickly touch on inside the prison walls, I want to get your bird's eye view of inside of prison, and if you can kind of just summarize in maybe a few minutes for people your view of prison on the inside, and maybe try to just include, like, tell us your story, but let's get a sense of maybe what is what do you feel should be highlighted to explain to people, like, this is the truth and this is the real of prison and what happens versus what the general consensus or general society might kind of believe. We kind of have these images that we see in movies and pop culture of what it is. Let's get your first hand experience, bird's eye view of prison in a few minutes.
well, I think you got a couple of different perspectives going on there. One is from the perspective of, you know, the prisoner who's actually living a life inside the prison. Then you have the guards who see people a certain way, who have never actually been in any of the lifestyles that would bring someone to this position. They have a point of view observing us. And then you have an administration who takes the data that, you know, corrections officers and counselors gather, and they take it and they use it for a greater purpose. And these are people who might have never even had the view that the correction officer has, or have been in a lifestyle. Like, it's different when you have a family or friend going through it, and it's a different view when you're in it. So, you know, uh, basically, from the point of view of someone in it, it's a place where they study people. They're studying you. I don't know for what purpose. Maybe it's the purpose to. I couldn't tell you what they take that information and use it for in different applications, but what I will say is, from the information they gather about you, they are able to assess your outcomes, and they take that data and they use it for probably untold, ungodly things. You know, I always tell people, like, there was an algorithm before there was an algorithm.
Uh,
Like, these people have your life down to an algorithm. They can assess, you
yeah.
know, your chances of surviving. They can correlate data. They do all of that type of stuff. So these places, they saturate them with counselors, and they hit you with a lot of tests and a lot of surveys to determine your mood. Your outlook will pacify you. Uh, even down to how much time can you spend in a room by yourself. Like it's a it's a it's a big laboratory,
Is there
I would say.
rehabilitation taking place?
Um, Not so much. Most of the guys who will come out and do something different are guys that probably were fed up, tired of being tired, so they're already looking for something different. Prison isn't designed to give you these things. It's more designed for security, to keep you where you need to be kept. You know, the people who come in there who want to help are idealistic, uh, underpaid people, um, not really connected, but have a thirst for to know, for the knowledge, to dive into your psyche that ultimately leads them vulnerable to manipulation.
So, um, fellow prisoners who you were side by side with, did you associate yourself with being like them?
No, no.
Okay, you felt you.
Half the time, half, half the time, I think I try not. I was a little bit more seasoned, so I'm not in a gang, but I needed movement. So loose associations were always my thing, like being able to, like, some guy's strong suit is different. Down there, my strong suit was communication, and I didn't know how to use it to my benefit. So I had to find a way to make it work. So that's how I ran into therapeutic communities when they were down there, TC programs,
And what
because
are those?
they're essentially behavior modification, inmate ran communities. Uh, we have certain pods or tiers where certain sections where you know uh, guys are housed, like small apartment complexes, maybe 200 guys. And the way a TC community is set up is like a small government. You got your president, your vice president, you know, your attorney general, things of that nature. They set it up in a hierarchy, and the prison gives the program authority to work outside of prison protocol for the most part. And the program, it gives the power to the inmates as far as running it. The structure, they call it. They call it the structure.
It sounds like something else.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're essentially trying to restructure the leadership role among men. I assume maybe it's the ideal, but it definitely gives you a perspective on. I'll put it this way: if you put a couple of guys that don't know exactly, they want to be in charge, they want to do something, you put these same gang members. Listen, I done seen gang members and brutal killers, when given some type of sense of authority, they get to acting just like a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Yeah,
they start rolling the sleeves up like Obama and tucking their shirts in, and they start speaking a certain way. They get right into it,
yeah.
and it's a really interesting dynamic, and they take a sense of pride in it. They get paid like they have high paying positions
What is
relative to
what?
prison.
What could be high paying in a prison?
A high paying job in the prison is $5 a day.
$5 a day.
$5 a day,
That's
yes.
for a high paying job.
That's for a high paying job. You're a high value man there. You make $5 a day.
So what's the average pay in prison
Average, maybe $1.50.
a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the average guy probably makes about $1.50. Uh then you got your kitchen workers. Uh you got your maintenance guys.
Okay.
Those are skilled workers who go in there and they work in the problems around the prison with
Okay.
the electricians or the welders or whatever. You work in the shops. Uh, then you have your guys that cottage sanitation,
Okay.
guys that work on the tier and they
Right.
clean up the tier. They
Right.
get to stay out all day. So if that's, it's all about perks. You know, the money is fine, but it's all about the perks. What type of movement, meaning how much can you not be in your cell? Can
Okay.
you stay out all day? Can you move around the compound? Can I go from right here on my tier to 3 buildings down? Can I do that?
Right.
Can I go to the kitchen and can I eat real food every day? That's a great perk. If you don't get paid, but you get that, that is the best position.
It
Food is the number one commodity there next to
has to
drugs.
be. It has to be. Well, how's the prison food in there? How's just the general regular food?
Um, it doesn't have any this is what I'll say about it. It's a lot healthier than people would think. But as far as quality, the quality is pretty bad.
So you're
Like
saying
this is,
healthy,
well, this is food, right? That doesn't have any, there's no fried foods,
right?
the very little to any additives in it. This is
Right.
generic food. Now the quality of meat you're gonna get probably won't be the best. A lot of soy products.
Right.
Um, but if you strictly adhere to the diet of the 3 meals, you will more than likely be eating, as sad as to say, as nasty as it is. And now it also doesn't have any flavor either. They're not sitting here putting all the good spices and the, you know, you're not going to have the fine cuts of meat nor, you know, the good fish. You're going to have, you know, low grade meats,
So great.
generic rice, vegetables. You said, huh?
Mystery meat.
It's yeah, it's gonna be a mystery. It's gonna be a mystery. It's
Uh,
gonna be a mystery. But you know, they go by they you won't overeat. I tell you that. You
well,
won't overeat if you
okay.
just stick to that. But it won't taste the greatest. Definitely not.
So you said you don't do. You said you don't do crime anymore. You were extremely confident and forthcoming when you said that. That's a great thing. That's a great thing. My question was going to kind of be, well, what's next for you? What do you have going on? But by you saying what you said about not doing, I'm interested to know what flipped the switch. Like what prison did that, or what happened? Like how are you so confident that you're done doing crime?
Well, my first bid was it was a lot of games. I played a lot of games. I wasn't really I always ask myself the question is, are you willing to do whatever it takes to not come back? And the answer the first time was no. Uh, I had a certain lifestyle I was accustomed to. I had a chip on my shoulder and I wasn't willing to do any of the hard parts. But the second time, and I think it might have reflect because the facility I was in was a little bit harsher. And you know, my experience down there this time were both better and worse. Uh, I couldn't, in good faith, continue to be this type of person
Right.
associated with it. Like, you know, this time I went down there, I got involved with the TC program again, and I was the house I've risen all the way up to the house coordinator spot, which I always do, which is the top. It's like the president in these therapeutic communities. And I was just sick of some of the response that some of these men were giving, some of these excuses, some of these train of thoughts that I never previously paid attention to were just so ridiculous. And I it almost made me feel like, wow, like is this the way the world sees guys like this, like me? Like, am I thrown in this group with guys that think like this? And the answer was, yeah, they do. Um, I had gotten into a relationship with one of the counselors down there that kind of threw me. It gave me a different perspective, really, on where we sat as a people. Like, man, these people study us. They pick our brain. They'll fuck you. They have sex with you, but when you get down to it, these people that are doing the work, they don't look at you the same. They don't believe that. They look at you more as this brute that can be civilized, more as a person that can be rehabilitated and taken seriously out in the world. You know, like I was able to get access to classified information about their processes, and the notes that they take and the guidelines and curriculum set forth to rehabilitate us. you know and it was just eye-opening, like, wow, these people, this is all a big sham. Like, you people were fetishes to you guys. Like, you don't believe that we can one day be a rehabilitated person that you would introduce your friend to, or a father would give his daughter away to in marriage. You don't really believe that. You more look at us as we're animals in a zoo who one day you can teach to talk. And when I fully grasped that, that kind of led me to needing to do something different. You know, I mean, it was this assessment that you go to an assessment center, and they let you know whether you're uh, whether what's the likelihood of you being able to complete parole, what's the likelihood of you returning. um, I I assume that they're clocking the rate of recidivism through these studies. And I wasn't supposed to get this information, but for me, they gave me a 74% chance of recidivating. If that's the proper term, of returning back to prison within the first 3 years. 74%. And that number was like kind of the cherry on top. It was the icing. It was like, damn, like, regardless. And I hadn't gotten into an infraction in prison. I took electrical theory courses. I joined different organizations to get I'm an inquisitive person, to get understandings. Me and a group of other guys started a program, a mentorship program within the prison. And we even had ex-Governor McGreevey come through one of our ceremonies. And all of that I did there, and they still told me that I would have a 74% chance of returning. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. Between that and my experience with the counselor and being in the TC program, it was just like, wow, like, I'm the type of person that once I know the truth about something, it's kind of hard to not act on it. So that was my driving factor.
Wow, man. I know you. I don't think I ever knew that. You know what I mean? That's deep. I I'm a person of a certain type of way of thinking that would drive me, that would fuel me, that would fuel me. And you know, already having these dispositions of the system that, you know, I feel that one ear out the other on most, or it just goes, they people don't notice it. I pick up on all these little nuances and everything. That was really deep, man. That was really deep. So what's next for you now? What are you doing now in your life?
Well, uh, I've been home roughly 3 years. Um, I
Congratulations. So you've made it past the point almost of
right.
that 73. So you, that 26% underdog chance, you're making it come true basically.
Yeah, I'm proving. I'm proving.
Yeah.
I'm proving. I'm disproving this statistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So you've been out.
Yeah. I went back to trade school.
Good.
Uh, and I completed. I graduated about a month ago.
Congratulations.
And
Congratulations. Yeah.
thank you as an electrical technician. Right now, I'm currently starting a job that with a company. I won't say, but they build robotics. They build machines that do things that do certain specific tasks, and I work with mechanical engineers and electrical engineers, and I wire stuff up, and hopefully that'll lead me into their field because they're willing to teach me everything I'm willing to know. So hopefully in a couple of years I could I can say I'm an engineer with all confidence.
Yeah. That is gonna happen, man. Just being committed. The same commitments that were applied to doing things on the dark side, you know, it's same thing, man. So just continue that. That's a big accomplishment, man. Uh, just don't do me a favor. Do me a favor, man. Because these robots are getting crazy, man. These robots, I'm hearing that these robots are people, like people. This whole AI stuff. So, man, when you walk in there, man, and this robot starts coming at you, man, and hitting below the belt, you know, let's do it with one of these robots, man. I don't want to hear about you, man, and have to do another interview with you, man, about,
well,
you know,
Well, listen, man. They said it was a 74% chance. I thought it was just doing crime, but apparently it doesn't cover if something piss you off and you got to fuck some shit up. So I don't know. It might be a to be continued. But I'll say this. Uh yeah, these robots, they're gonna be taking over some people's jobs, and I'm gonna be the one helping build them. So I
yeah.
guess in a way I'm still a villain. I'm still
Hey,
a villain for that.
hey, that's a good thing, man. Uh, appreciate you, man. Let's leave the people watching the video, man. Just in summary, man, if any last words, man, regarding prison, incarceration, or anything that you just want to share with the people before we go.
Well, what I will say is this. Um, some people, that is going to be their inevitable path. Most people will never get out of the cycle, or they will fall victim to the statistics that was set forth in front of them. Uh, Either internal factors or external factors. Some people won't never think to do anything better because they're not shown it. And while you're in prison, you're not going to find it unless you seek it. But sometimes it's easier said than done when your perspective is skewed in one direction, right? Why would the guy who lives in the mountains of Afghanistan ever think that, hey, maybe I should relocate to this place because I'm in constant conflict with these people? Well, if everything around him doesn't even indicate that that thing is an option, then why would he think it?
Right.
Like, you're not going to be walking through, uh, you know, the slums of Patterson and think one day, hey, maybe I should go to, Lincoln Tech. Like, where would that thought appear from?
Right.
Like, sometimes it's what's put in front of you, and sometimes it's the things that are inside of you. But yeah, I think prison isn't a place that's going to offer you much. Everybody's story isn't going to end like mine. Most people's are going to go the opposite way, you know. And I think it's all about information,
Right. Right.
type of information you're armed with.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. This has been a great experience, a great conversation, man. I'm looking forward to the future ones. I'm looking forward to hearing about these robots. And maybe I'm looking forward to hear your opinions on just general society and certain things that we may be seeing in social media, Mr. Trump. All jokes aside, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it,
All
man,
right.
for having me.